You can find them on Twitter, you can find them on the gram. After listening to their podcast, you'll be sitting there like, damn, taking their teaching from one level to the next, reaching up to Canada and down to
the verbs
Mexico.
of my classroom are the 4 C's. So we're talking about creativity, communication, collaboration, and critical thinking. So here's where and how I think about social studies. My class, it's not about the history. I don't care about the history. Let me rephrase that. I enjoy history. Okay. I like to read about history, watch stuff. Okay. I like history. It's cool. It's fun. It's interesting. I don't expect my students to have the same love of history that I do. Okay. The same way a science teacher or a math teacher can't expect their students to love the content the same way that they did, that inspired the teacher to go to school and put in 4 to 5 years studying that topic, becoming a guru in that topic and learning how to teach that topic to others. Our students aren't there for that purpose. Okay. So I think the 4 C's should be the verbs of every classroom. Now, you're going to find that you get students who also love the content like you do. And when you get those students, we get excited. You know, if I'm a social studies teacher, I get a kid who comes in and says, I love history. I like World War II and I'm into, these different eras. That gets me excited. And I will nurture that kid and I will support that kid in their love of the subject matter. Okay. Same way a kid comes into math. You get kids who are really good at math. They like math. Nurture that kid. Teach them stuff. Give them the enrichment stuff. Okay. Don't dissuade them from liking the subject. But the far majority of the students that we work with, my job isn't to, and I'm going to talk about social studies specifically, my job isn't to A, make them fall in love with the subject, or B, get them ready to play Jeopardy. So now what do I do with them? My classroom for years now is not about memorizing names and dates and places, because even though I have a degree in history, I can't tell you what I learned in 9th grade world history, right? There's a lot that I have forgotten, but here's what has stuck with me all these years as I approach, my 40th trip around the sun at the end of April, 2021. It's the teachers and what they did that I remember. I remember the projects. I remember the relationships and the connections that I felt with those really great teachers. What I also remember that helps to inspire what I do each day is I remember the crappy teachers and how I didn't like certain things that they did. My 4th grade teacher, God rest her soul, she was a horrendous teacher. Her horrendous practices as a teacher, that has stuck with me all these years as I never want to be that. Okay. And I've had some other interesting characters along the way, but the ones who made a positive impact on me because of how they cared about kids, that's what sticks with me. And long after most of my kids leave me, they're going to remember that Mr. Nesi was a good guy and we did all of this interesting stuff with technology. And that's what I want them to be able to do. I tell the kids, and I am very transparent with my students, okay, whether it's high school students or even the Rutgers students that I work with, okay, I want you to get better at the 4 things, these 4 C's that you already know how to do. Kids come to me, they're already creative. They know how to collaborate. They know how to communicate. They know how to think critically. My goal between September and June is to help them take steps forward in those areas. And how many steps they take in that school year, that's up to them. All I do is provide opportunities to practice and get better. And I create opportunities to work on their collaboration skills through group projects.
Keep up with every new episode by subscribing on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor, or anywhere you listen. Remember to visit teachernerds.com, and that's nerds with a Z. Follow us on Twitter @TeacherNerds and on Instagram @TeacherNerdsPodcast. And thank you for being one of the Teacher Nerds.